Welcome to the One Verse Devotional Podcast. My name is Matt McCarrick, and my goal is to help you grow closer to God through one verse every day. Now let's dive in. Welcome to the start of a new week, and welcome to the One Verse Devotional Podcast. My name is Matt, and as always, I am glad that you're with me here today. You know, growing up, I love to be outside, play outside. I would pretend like I was a part of G.I. Joe or pretend that I was in the world of the Transformers, and I would grab anything that I could, whether I had my fake plastic guns, but even besides that, I had no problem getting a fallen tree branch and pretending like it was the coolest laser gun ever, right? Whether it was a gun or a sword, I just loved to be in that world. And I remember one particular time I was playing, I was totally into it in my own little world, and my mom comes around the corner and she's just like, "Matthew, what do you think you're doing?" And I looked at her and I was kind of dumbfounded, like, I'm just playing. I don't really know why I'm in trouble now. And she looks and she's like, "What are you using? What are you doing with the Bible?" And there I was playing and pretending, and I had the Bible in my hand and I was going, yeah, and I was like totally in my own world using the Bible as a weapon. And my mom was just like, "Where in the world did you even get this idea?" Well, I felt like I was being very biblical at the time. And so I told her, I said, "Well, the Bible even tells us that it's sharper than any sword." I wanted to have like the strongest weapon, so I grabbed my Bible, to which she probably maybe laughed a little bit, mostly probably rolled her eyes. But I tell you that story because it actually comes from our one verse today. It's a powerful one verse, and maybe I kind of interpreted it wrong and took it out of context as a child, but it's still a powerful verse. It comes out of Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12, and maybe after we read this, you'll kind of understand what a 10-year-old boy might have been thinking at the time, because we usually don't think very clearly, do we? So anyway, silly story, but true story. And this was my inspiration for the weapon of choice that day. Hebrews 4:12 says, "For the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart." I love when the Bible talks about the Bible. And it starts off just with a strong statement. For the word of God is alive and active. This is a living book. It is alive. And what does that mean? Well, this is what I think it means. One, I think somehow that the Spirit of God is active through the words of the Bible, that this is His word, and so it can be active in our life. But also the greatest way that I see this lived out and in our lives is the fact that, have you ever gone through and read a passage and you're like, I don't get it, or that was nice, but I didn't really think about it much, whatever. And then you come across that same passage, that same verse, maybe years later, and all of a sudden it jumps off the page at you and you're like, wow, that's exactly what I wanted to hear today. I actually have in my Bible some verses underlined, and I'll even read it sometimes, and I'll read a verse and honestly I'm like, I don't know why I would have underlined this verse. Like, it doesn't seem like it's good, it's okay, but it doesn't seem like that impactful. Well, that just reminds me that at whatever point I was in my life, that verse meant so much to me that I was like, yeah, I gotta underline this verse. I gotta remember this verse. And yet now I'm like, it's good, but I don't think it's that meaningful, because the word of God is alive and it's active, and we'll encounter different parts of it at different times in our life where God is using the Bible to speak to us. And so it's a living book. It's a living word. It goes on, it says, this was my inspiration from my childhood days, right? Sharper than any double-edged sword. And check this out. It can penetrate to even dividing soul and spirit. Like, basically this word, if you allow it, can cut straight to the center of you. A surgeon used a very sharp knife, and knives can be used to hurt or injure, but knives can also be used in surgery to cut and to heal. I think that's what the Word of God does in our life, that it can penetrate our very soul and our spirit. That it's the only thing truly that can judge the thoughts and the attitudes of the heart. We know that it's not our job to judge the motivations and the hearts of others. There's no way we can know that, but the Bible is the Word of God, and it can cut to the heart of the matter. It can penetrate our soul and our spirit. And I'll be honest, this is why I love doing this podcast, so we can interact with the Bible, because I believe, if I'm being honest here, that for a lot of us, and even for myself, it's very easy for the Bible just to sit off on an end table, on the coffee table, next to our bed, and we never open it. And now that we have our phones, we just give the excuse, I don't need to take my Bible to church because I have the Bible on my phone. And yet most of the time we don't even open the Bible app on our phone during service. If we're honest, we never open the Bible. I love that you're here so we can engage with the Word of God, but I still want you to go back and engage with this book that is alive and active. The Bible is powerful, and I want you to get that power into your life. God will use His Word to penetrate your soul and your spirit. He wants to be active in your life, and He can do that through the Bible. Have a great day.